Welcome into the latest edition of the Stealing with the Boys podcast. I am your host, JUNNIE Riddle here, along with my boys,
Jawan Williams.
and no Coach Campbell today. And he has a valid excuse this time. He's not just sleeping, he's not overworking himself to death. Trey got into a car accident today, and he's okay. He's okay. His car's not, and it wasn't his fault, but unfortunate events unfolded for Trey today. He's got the day off. He's resting. He's probably a little bit sore because he gotten a little T-bone action. Somebody hit him on the road. So hope Trey feels better. Best wishes out to Trey. He's sending us our best tonight as we knock out this episode. Recapping the Steelers versus the Ravens. Steelers go into the bank. And they cash out, baby. They cashed out in the bank, beating the Ravens 27-22. And to be honest with you, Juwan, this is the best the Pittsburgh Steelers have looked in many, 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 many weeks. Many weeks. Juwan, your initial reaction to all this?
Man, just you hit it right on the button. This is the best we've looked all season. This is the Aaron Rodgers. This is the DK Metcalf that we've been looking for this whole year. This is why we brought them in. This is the first game I can say second game. Because the one in with the
Ireland.
Vikings. But this is, I can say, the true first game that DK showed me why he's worth $30 million each year. He balled out from the first play. He balled out like nobody on the field could stop him. And I'm like, Arthur Smith, we had this in the bag this whole season. Why do we have to wait till December to bring deep ball plays on the first drive? That's my biggest thing. Now defense played pretty well. Okay, they played pretty well.
They played all right.
Yeah, I mean,
good enough to win.
Yeah, good enough to win. Now, Terrell Austin's schemes still suck, I can say, but it helped us win the game. Big plays from Patrick Queen. He went down. The next play, he made a big, huge play on
Mark Andrews.
Deflect the ball from Andrews, which if you actually look back at it, Andrews, it was miscommunication because that ball was supposed to go to DeAndre Hopkins. It actually was. But Highsmith played good. And people talk about TJ like he didn't play good. TJ made huge plays. It's not the big the big spectacular the sacks that we used to with TJ, but he made some solid tackles, especially on Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I was going to say that as well. I mean, TJ in the pass rushing sense has kind of been a ghost, really, the past, I'd say month and a half, really. Not seeing a lot from him in that aspect, but like you mentioned, I think that's a great point that you said there is that TJ Watt played against the run tremendously, setting the edge, crashing down on Derrick Henry. I mean, how many times was he just jumping up trying to punch that ball? Because Derrick Henry, if you get your hands on that ball, he might put it on the ground. And I thought TJ was all over it and had a bunch of tackles for loss. And so, although they didn't necessarily, the defense didn't play the run well, and that's kind of like my one thing that really bothered me at the end of this game was the Ravens had 217 rushing yards and we only had 34 rushing yards. So the defense was, very much the definition of bend, don't break in that respect in this game. But again, the run defensive woes are definitely still bothering me, Juwan. It needs to get fixed. And hopefully it does if Derek Harmon comes back this week. And it'd be a great week to do so against, I'd say, a top 5 back in the league in Devon Achane. and the Miami Dolphins as they come in for Monday Night Football this week. But
You know
all in
what's
all, really,
crazy?
other than that, offensively, I thought, Aaron played one of his better games. I wouldn't say it's his best game in the Steelers uniform, but it was one of his better ones. DK Metcalf, by far, outside of not scoring a touchdown, this was by far his best game as a Pittsburgh Steeler. And all in all, they moved the ball consistently on this Ravens defense, and I felt like there was a good flow on the offensive end of things.
You know, this game really showed me that Derek Harmon is, as of now, like a huge piece to our success moving forward. Because with him on the field, I think we only average like 96 yards of rushing a game. But when he's off the field,
Average allowing it, yeah.
yeah, and when he's off the field, I mean, you see what happens. You know, this is like our season this year has been so like it's like a roller coaster. It's been so inconsistent. Where some games, um, where the offense lacks, the defense handles it. When the defense lacks, the offense handles it. I feel like for the most part, for this most game, I feel like it was more offense, but it was still a big contribute from the defense too. Until like the last little run when they were trying to make a comeback. But other than that, I think both sides did its part, especially the offense. If we can open up, I know this far stretch, but if we can open up like this and like the play calling, the throws down the field, if we can get all this in motion, we can be up there, up there. I'm just gonna say we can be up there. No, I'm not gonna say contending yet, but we can be up there. One thing I want to say that we should actually do. I still don't understand third down plays and end zone plays with no Jalen Warren when he's the power back and Kenneth Gainwell is like the more elusive one, but it's still like when we need like that power back 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 1. We need Jalen Warren out there, and I'm not understanding why like he's not getting no touches on like third downs.
And I don't know if it's Broderick Jones' injury or not, but I just feel like since Jones got injured, and maybe it's just the teams that we're playing and the matchups, but I just feel like the run game in general just doesn't look the same as it did earlier on in the season. And as much as we do like Jalen Warren, I mean, I will say this, you know, in this game in particular against Baltimore, really outside of his touchdown that he caught, and he was just wide open. I mean, he was naked out there running into the end zone. But um, all in all, like the last couple weeks, I mean, we got to give some respect to Kenny G, man. Like Kenneth Gainwell's been playing really well, and the numbers on the season would say that he's been a little bit more efficient than Warren. And I just think Kenneth Gainwell has been a little bit better. Now, again, Jalen is RB1, and I think he is the more talented, but I also feel like Kenneth Gainwell maybe has been a little bit more steady and consistent on the offensive side. And I think it's more of a 1-2 punch rather than like an A and B guy. Like I think it's kind of a 1A and a 1B with Kenneth Gainwell, and those games that Kenneth Gainwell shines, like I think he is truly is become an important part of this offense. And so I just think like when we look at the touches against the Ravens in general, I just feel like when Kenny was out there, he was making progress. When Warren was out there, I felt like he was, kind of getting stuffed in. And so kind of like back when we had the argument with Najee and Jalen Warren back in the day, like I just think it's just kind of depends on the game and the matchup of which style is going to look, better against certain opponents. I think that's kind of what it's going to come down to.
I think I think it's about time to say that Kenneth Gainwell is our best pickup this offseason.
Uh, Even more than DK.
Yes, yes, even more than DK. Like he's so far to say that he's in the running for MVP on the team.
I,
But you gotta
I
think,
wouldn't go that far. I
you
wouldn't
have
go.
to
I wouldn't go that far. I mean,
you have to
him and
think about
Warren are
it.
still him and Warren are still tied in total touchdowns. You know, Warren has, you know, more than double the yards, but it's like I said, it's the efficiency. Like Warren's averaging 4.1 yards a carry, whereas Kenneth Gainwell's averaging like 4.6. You know,
Wait, Kenneth
they
Gainwell
both
is
have
actually,
four. Go ahead.
I was about to say Kenneth Gainwell is I think over exceeding expectations on
Oh,
what
absolutely.
what we thought that he was gonna come in. We didn't know what we knew about Kenneth Gainwell, but we didn't know we was gonna get this Kenneth Gainwell.
I agree with that, and I think that was more or less, you know, the Eagles. You know, they had Saquon and they had, you know, DeAndre Swift, and you know they always kind of had like a main guy and a guy that they, you know, invested a lot of value in, either money wise or trading wise when they got Swift in there. But you know, all in all, like I look at this and I just think, you know, like whenever I was watching Eagles games back in the day, and you know, Kenneth Gainwell, similar to what he did to the Steelers last year when we played in Philly, like, you know, he just has spurts here and there where he just makes splash plays. And I think it was more or less a lack of opportunity where he's getting a ton more opportunity here in Pittsburgh. And it's more of a not a bell cow situation where there is definitely a primary back that's getting, you know, well over 50% of the carries. Now he's kind of in a running back committee where, you know, it is kind of like 60-40 Jalen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell. So I like the dynamic and I like what he's brought, but to say that, like, I don't know. I just wouldn't say he's like the biggest pickup because you look at his numbers and it's like he has 6 total touchdowns. He has 4 rushing, 2 receiving. Jalen Warren has the exact same numbers, but Jalen Warren has like 600 something yards and rushing, and he only has like 200 something yards rushing. Whereas like DK Metcalf is like, I think he's kind of getting closer to like maybe 800 yards receiving on the season. You know, like just looking at it, like, yeah, he has been the biggest surprise. I think he's been the biggest impact that we didn't really expect. But I don't know. I wouldn't go as far to say that he's like MVP of the team. I think he has been a very pleasant surprise and somebody that I feel like we should keep around for the future. He seems like a good, reliable team back. You know, that's willing to do what it takes. He plays special teams, all that stuff. I like him on this team.
DK is sitting at 753 yards.
753. So
I think
he's
DK can hit 1,000 yards this year.
I mean, if they get rolling, I mean, if this is a game where they kind of open it up and get rolling, then yeah, I think so. But you know, I really think that another part of this, and again, it is kind of me being the Debbie Downer naturally that I am, is the Ravens have no pass rush. Like, if there is one glaring weakness to this Baltimore Ravens team, is they do not have anybody to go and get the quarterback. Like all year long, Aaron Rodgers has been running for his life, getting beat up. And again, for whatever reason against the Ravens, dude had like 4, 5, 6 seconds to sit back there and throw the ball. And a lot of those big plays happened because the line held up against the Baltimore Ravens pass rush. And so I think it's a matchup thing, and it's just something that I need to see going forward. If they can replicate it and they find something and they can continue to do it, I'll get a little bit more bought in than where I've been. But I do think this was kind of a matchup thing. I think Lamar is still kind of working on getting fully healthy, and we gotta start talking about the elephant in the room, man. We got to start talking about some of these officiating calls that everybody's been talking about because that was a big controversy and that had a major impact in this game as well.
I will say this before we get to that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'll ruffle some feathers. All right. With the Flock Nation. I went on TikTok and made a video and said something, and you know, they was like y'all only won because of you know, the refs. It was the refs versus the Ravens and all that. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Where was the refs at for majority of the game? We killed y'all. We just dominated y'all. That bad man Aaron Rodgers came and we shut. And this is his first ever meeting, AOC meeting with the Baltimore Ravens, and he showed y'all why he's that man. DK showed y'all why he's that guy. We just are better than y'all. I don't want to hear nothing about Lamar Jackson being hurt. I want to see y'all should have played Derrick Henry more. Y'all should have instead of playing I forgot a dude name that ran on us. But oh no, Marlon Humphreys suck. Nate Wiggins suck. Like anybody on y'all defense and y'all team suck. That's why Harbaugh is in this predicament he is now. Y'all pathetic. Now, had to get that out. I feel good.
So the refs did come out at the end of the game and kind of discuss some of the controversial calls. There were three main ones here, and I want to kind of go over them in chronological order here. The f-
Which
the
one? Okay. The first one, are you going to talk about the flowers?
No. No, the first one I was going to bring up was the penalty on the field goal that Boswell hit. Steelers were up 10-3. Ravens get the
Oh,
stop. Steelers go to kick it, and then they called, roughing the long snapper and gave us a first down, and then Kenneth Gainwell runs it in, and we're up 17-3. I felt like that was the first major call that kind of really impacted the game, and that happened in the first half.
I thought
Eh,
you was going to say the sideline catch from Zay Flowers, and when he dropped, the ball was moving. Well, the
yeah,
one that
they
was challenged on.
and they reviewed it and said it was a catch, even though I personally did not think it was a
I
catch.
didn't think that it was either. But
I thought it was moving.
yeah, that
And
field
but
goal attempt, uh,
would have went bye bye.
it's one of them. It's one of them that if that was your team, you'll be pissed.
Yeah,
But because you're the opposite of the team, the refs know what they're doing.
yeah.
It is what it is.
The
But
on but on our field goal though, the flag, the refs did come out after reviewing it, and it was in fact a bad call. It was. He didn't touch the long snapper in a way that it was deserving of a penalty. And so they did come out and correct that one. Although that one I don't feel like had as much of an impact as the next two that I'm going to bring up. So the next one was the whole, third down and long. Aaron Rodgers throws it, gets tipped up at the line. He catches it. Ravens player rips it out of him. And, at first it looked like it was an interception. And then upon review, they reversed it and said that Aaron Rodgers had possession and was touched down.
I
That's
actually
been
agree with that one.
I do too. And that's why we're discussing this, because I'm hearing a lot of the national media say like, "Oh, everything went against the Ravens. The Ravens got screwed over, and all these were bad calls." I'll give you the field goal one. That was a bad call. It was a little bit flimsy. I feel like it was a little bit of a reach. Did it alter the game a little bit? Yeah, you make that a field goal instead of the touchdown, and at the end of the game, the Steelers are still up by one rather than five. And so yeah, like that had an impact on the team and the game, but all in all, I felt like that was so early on that like many of different things could have happened after that, to where both sides could have done things differently if that call had went probably the right way and it stayed, and we go up 13-3. But in this case, when he caught the ball and he pinned it against his chest and he's being touched down and then the ball gets ripped out, I'm like, how is that not by rule the right, correct call? And I feel like people are conflating it because of the three steps in the end zone, which is the third one, clearly the Isaiah Likely not touchdown that they called back because he didn't catch and complete and follow through with it. Um, so I don't know, like when it's in the end zone and you're catching it in the end zone. See, look, one, two,
He
as the
didn't get
third
the he
one's
didn't get the
coming
third one
down,
down.
it's out.
He didn't
It's
get the
out.
third one down.
He didn't get the third one down. And somebody made a really good point in Steelers media, and they brought up, and you might remember this. This was one of Kenny Pickett's best games as a Steeler. we were playing in Cincinnati. It was the game that Pat Frogmuth had like 185 yards. Like he just went berserk in that game, just all over the middle. I think it was like one of the first games after Matt Canada got fired, and we were like, "Oh, the offense is fixed because Matt Canada's gone." But I remember in that game that Kenny threw the ball to Deontay. He catches it 1-2, ball gets punched out, and then they called it a no touchdown. It was literally the exact same scenario, and it impacted the Steelers. Now the Steelers go on to win that game in Cincinnati 2 years ago, but it still took away a touchdown from the Steelers in that game. And this is the exact same play. Now, do I agree with the rule? No, I think that's a catch. I think that's a touchdown. But according to the rules in the rule book, that is not a catch.
Because he didn't make a football move.
No, he caught 1, 2, and normally if you're on the sideline, you go out of bounds, the play's over, but you got to finish the play, right? And so that's why I agree. I agree with the Aaron Rodgers catching the ball, having possession, and being touchdown. And I
Now,
also agree with this call as well. But I'd say the only one that Ravens fans can really genuinely have quarrels about would be the roughing the long snapper and taking 3 off the board, and the Steelers turned it into 6. Well, 7 with the extra point. But
not
you get
only
what I'm saying.
the Rogers one, his knees was down. And like he had full possession on the ball, like
Had
how
it
you
in his
yeah,
chest and
like how
rips
you
it
said
out.
it. He ripped it out once he was down, like once he was fully down. So if they're able to make excuses about that, I don't care. The rules are rules. He was down. That was a smart move by Aaron Rodgers. Just like this play, Isaiah Likely, he had 2 feet down, possession of the ball, but he didn't make the football move. So 2 out of the 3 was clear, but the last one didn't. That's
Yeah,
This is another great move and great I what do I say?
effort
Great
play.
deflection by Joey Porter.
Yeah.
That like everybody's keep on talking about this likely play. Let's talk about I don't hear enough about what Joey Porter actually did. Really, to be fair, Joey Porter on this play saved our season. He
I'm
saved
not gonna
them.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie, Joanne. The way we were playing offense when this happened, I was
Oh,
actually
I was definitely confident. I was like, oh, we're about to go down the field.
yeah, and that's the thing though, is like because that happened with about 2.5 minutes left. And if let's say the Ravens do it and they go for 2, worst case scenario, they're up 3. I was very confident that we were going to go down and kick it for either the win, whether or not they got the 2 point conversion or not, or if they didn't, we would go down and win the game. So I listen, when it first happened and the Ravens were moving the ball the way they were, I was like, don't reverse it. Just let them score and then give us the opportunity to go down there and match it, because I was scared that if they took too much clock off and then they ended up going down there and scoring, that you know we were going to really lose the game. And
Yeah,
so all in all, I think it played out the way it did. And to also address another thing that's been going around on social media, the Roman Wilson catch against the Packers.
I was going to bring that up. This is the same type of catch, but the thing is, Roman Wilson had at least three to. I think he had
3 to
three or
4
four.
steps.
Yeah, and he dropped
100%.
it, and we didn't get it. So I don't want to hear about
We did get that one. We did get that one.
the touchdown.
Yes. So they
Oh,
called it a touchdown for Roman Wilson. But again, the key here is, and this goes for like when they're doing reviews on whether or not a catch is a fumble. Like if that was not in the end zone, you know, they may have called that a fumble, right? And so, say if that happened and he wasn't in the end zone, and the ref called a fumble on this play, well, guess what? It wouldn't have been a fumble because it wasn't a catch. And so that's what makes it super confusing, right? Is if you watch this play and it happened in the middle of the field, like on the 30-yard line, when you first glance at it, you're like, oh, Isaiah likely fumbled, and say we recovered it and we think it's a game changing play. But then they go and review it and they're like, well, he didn't make a football move. That's an incomplete. Like, we would be upset. But again, by the rule in the rule book, it is the right call. And you can debate whether it's right or not, but that's how the rule is written. And that's all I got to say about it. And so if Ravens fans want to be upset, I get it. If it were me, I'd be upset too. I'd probably be making excuses about it too. But hey, sometimes that's just how it goes. And can't change it. I didn't
Go
write the
cry.
rule.
Go cry about it. I don't care. Let them cry in their misery. I don't care about it.
But I mean, outside of the controversy, the things that went wrong in this game. What do you have any? What were some of the issues you had? I know we already brought up the run defense, but what were some other things that you wish you could have seen a little bit better of?
That first, okay, it was 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. That 4th and 5. That I think the Ravens was in the middle of the field. It was 4th and 5, right? Sarah Austin, why are we running on 4th and 5 a cornerback blitz? We ran a cornerback blitz that led Zay Flowers to get the first down, and Jalen Ramsey had to come down and make the tackle. He made Eccles do a cornerback blitz on 4th and 5. Why are we doing that? We don't that play right there pissed me off because I'm like, who runs a cornerback blitz? A corner blitz on 4th and 5.
I I mean,
And
I get that. I get that. Why? Because it didn't work in our favor is why. If if Eccles comes on the blitz and Lamar doesn't see him and he gets a clean hit on him, then Terrell Austin's a genius. You know what I mean? Back in the day, Mike Hilton made those plays all the time. I think when it's a 4th and 5 and you're dealing with a guy like Lamar Jackson who isn't particularly throwing the ball well as we speak and isn't fully healthy to where he can evade, throwing some pressure on 4th down. Because, remember last year we complained that they never blitzed and that they never brought pressure. They never did. Lamar made a good play. He saw the blitz coming. He read it, and he looked at Zay, and he hit him. That's one of those I feel like could have gone either way. Like we could complain about a lot, but trying to dial up something to surprise Lamar Jackson, especially when he isn't playing up to his MVP caliber that we're used to seeing, I'm not super mad about that because I have seen that work and I've seen that surprise teams and it just didn't work that time. And so
that
things are you're not going to bat 1,000 on play calls. So
yeah,
I wouldn't necessarily worry about that one too much as how the run defense looked. And just certain situations allowing Lamar Jackson to run in the end zone and not keeping contained and having somebody guarding him. Those are some things that I mean I would bring up. I don't know. I just
yeah.
dialing up a surprise blitz on 4th down, like
Also, like we haven't like really talked about it yet, but the second half adjustments, it's still. I mean, okay, now the first drive, our first offensive drive in the third quarter, it was a success because we got the field goal out of it. We should have scored. The way we was moving the ball, the way we was going down the field, the way that the O line, shout out to the O line too. The way that the O line was blocking, I this is the first game this year that I seen like Aaron Rodgers have so much time in the pocket. He had so much.
it was the best pass protection we'd seen all season for
It
sure.
definitely was. And what's crazy? It just shows how hungry our O line of really this whole team was because I think didn't Pete get hurt? Um who else? Wasn't it was it Anderson? The Anderson first.
Maybe. I think maybe Calvin
It was
Anderson went
like
down.
two. It was like two or three uh O linemen, and like people had to come in and step up, and they did. It was one picture I seen. I think I gotta find it, but it was one picture I seen of um I forgot the O lineman name that was making his first start from the practice squad, and Aaron Rodgers was looking at him like, is this guy really gonna block for me? Is he gonna is he gonna protect me? And he did. So it's just the second half adjustments to wrap it all together. The second half adjustments, it still needs some work because we've been in this situation before. And if we would have lost the game, it would have been the same story. We'll win at halftime. We'll be up at halftime, and then second half we just crumble.
Yeah.
And we just need to fix that. Once we fix that, we'll be straight. But that's like a real big issue for me.
The biggest issue for me is where the run game has gone. It went from a strength early on in the year. Now it's almost becoming a weakness in the last 3 to 4 weeks. And I don't understand why. And maybe it's not sticking with it, even though it's not going well. I don't know what it is, but the fact that he only put up 34 rushing yards against this Ravens team, and props to Rodgers for throwing for 284 and having the game that he did without a run game or without really any sort of true threat of play action. But you know, this run, like the teams that run the ball well down the stretch are the teams that win in the playoffs, because this is December and January football. If this team really wants to turn it around this year, if they really want to turn it around, they want to fill Jawan's prophecy of a wide open AFC and getting hot at the right time and and being that sneaky team that has struggled all year long with the ups and downs, but just got hot at the right time to fill your fantasy. They've got to run the ball better and with more consistency. They have to.
Yes, because if not, I can see that being a problem down the road. But then again, I will say this game on from Sunday on, I think that Rodgers has in his mind to get to where we have to be, he has to put the team on his back. He has to be the one. I know the run game has to be on point, but if Rodgers ain't doing what he needs to do to win games, then yeah, my everything that I just said that I've been saying about us being the sneaky team, the wide open AFC, is not gonna look too good.
Yeah,
So he needs to be the one that carries the load of everything,
yeah.
basically.
And I'll say this. I mean, if the offensive line can just, better yet, the offensive line just playing somewhat close to what they showed in Baltimore. If they can stack performances like that where Rodgers isn't getting hit multiple times in a game, I and then they bring the run game aspect back to it. You combine those two things, then this offense can really get going, and I truly believe that. But can they put that all together? We haven't seen it. We need to see it really come together for me to have that kind of faith. This win was big. It really was. I didn't see it coming. I didn't think it was going to happen. I thought like the Buffalo game was the game that really was going to knock this train off its rails. And clearly it's not. Clearly it's not. They got some life. They're taking advantage of this Ravens team as they're kind of they're kind of falling off a little bit. But all in all, man, I I just can't get back to the belief that you have, man. And I know we did this whole talk about Tomlin and whether or not he should be fired or not. I am still a proponent of change. I know this was a massive win, but it's also very Mike Tomlin esque. You know, when everything looks hopeless and everything is at its worst, and nobody has any belief, and everybody's done with the season. is when the Steelers pull the rabbit out of the hat and they make something happen with it. And so, with 4 games left, you got the Dolphins, you got the Browns, you got the Lions, and you got the Ravens. What can you do with that stretch? What can you do? Because right now, you're in first place in the AFC North. You're a game ahead of Baltimore. You just beat them in their house. How do you finish when the division is in your hands? It's gonna mean a lot. And it's gonna start with Monday night. And it's gotta start. So where right now is your belief in this team now that they went into Baltimore and won?
It's way better than it was last week. And I think this is gonna be a spark to what's to come. And I'm here to say I think the stretch of the Dolphins, Lions, Browns, and Ravens, I think we can go on a little streak.
Okay. How many out of those final 4 games, what is the Steelers record to finish the year? Right now.
We're 7-6.
Mm-hmm.
10-7.
10-7. And is your one loss against the Lions?
No,
Really?
it's against the Browns.
Really? I mean, I could see them losing to the Browns. I'm gonna safely say 2-2. I'm gonna go. I think they finish 9-8, above 500, and honestly, I couldn't tell you which games they're gonna win. I got a lot of faith that they're gonna win this Dolphins game, so that might be one, and then they just win one of the rest of the 3. I just don't know. I don't know. This team could very well go in Detroit and just play an amazing game and win, and then go to Cleveland the following week and just lay an egg. That is the embodiment of what this team is. I'm going to say a safe 2-2, 9-8, and I think that the division comes down to the final game of the year, and I think it's going to take
See,
a
that's the thing.
sweep
I don't
of the
think
Ravens.
I don't think I don't think the Ravens. I think the Ravens lose. They can possibly lose 3 out of their last 4.
They could, but
I don't
they're
have
going
them beat. I don't have them beating the Packers. I don't
okay.
have them beating the Patriots. I really don't have them beating the Bengals. So that's the thing. Because hold on, let me pull it up. Let's see the order that they have it.
I think they have Bengals this weekend, then Patriots, then Packers, then us, if my memory serves me correctly.
Yes.
So
They have
that's
they have 2 prime time games, which I think they're about to have 3. Because if we're tied at the end of the season, they're putting that on Sunday night.
yeah.
So I do think that I think the Bengals can sweep the Ravens.
They
I don't think
could, but will they?
that's true.
I don't know. The way Joe Burrow was talking in his press conference, I don't know if you've seen on social media about
Yeah,
everybody
I
kind of
don't
giving a
think
big. I
he's
just I don't know if the morale with the Bengals is what it was when Burrow first came back and beat Baltimore after that really disappointing loss to Buffalo, because they had that game in the bag and they just literally fumbled it and gave it to the Bills. So I don't know where Cincinnati is mentally on whether or not like they're going to come into this game and really want to give it to the Ravens, knowing that their chances of making the playoffs are almost zilch at this point, and Lamar historically plays well in Cincinnati. Historically, he's had some of his best games in Paycor Stadium, and so I'm not. I'm not ready to give that one to the Bengals. Patriots game, Packers game, especially on the road in Lambeau. I get it. Like that. That could be rough. Um, but I don't know, this Bengals game this weekend, I think it's going to be really, really interesting. I'm going to be definitely a big Joe Burrow and a big Bengals fan this weekend,
Yes.
because if they win that game, that will be huge for us. Would be huge. But I'll tell you something else that's huge, and I think we should end on this one, Juwan. Is a report came out from the Steelers and Adam Schefter today that T.J. Watt was put in the hospital for a lung injury, and it's starting to come out that they think that the Steelers medical staff, and again, this is allegedly, this isn't confirmed, that the Steelers medical staff may have accidentally punctured TJ Watt's lung on accident. And this is a similar situation back in the 2020 season when Justin Herbert got his first start, because Tyrod Taylor got the same thing and his lung got punctured and he was out for the game. And so Justin Herbert got his first start in his NFL career because of this exact same mistake from the Chargers staff. Um, so all in all, do you think the Steelers can win without TJ Watt, especially with how TJ has been playing? And is this something that is concerning to you going into this Miami Dolphins game?
You know, if if this would have happened last year, then I would have been very concerned. The way that our outside linebackers have been playing with Nick Herbert, Alex Highsmith that stepped up big time in this game, and even Jack Sawyer, I'm pretty satisfied. I'm not that nervous. I feel like he is gonna be out this game. If he is, cool, like cool, rest up. Uh or maybe that extra day that we have on Sunday will help him. But I don't wanna like push the issue. So if he's not 100%, don't put him out there.
Yeah.
No, just let him get ready for the Lions game, which we need him for.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to take a reach here, and I'm definitely going to knock on some wood, because I think we do need him. I think the way he was crashing and setting the edge and defending the run against the Ravens, and how they constantly ran to the opposite side, of him, and how, even though he has been quiet in the pass rushing game this season, what has been consistent for the most part, there's been a game or two where he hasn't played as well. And I think the Bills game was one of those, where he didn't defend the run well. But even with him slacking in the sack numbers and pressuring the quarterback, he still does consistently play the run really, really well, and better than every single other edge rusher. And so in this game, I'm not scared of Tua. I'm not scared of Tua beating us, but I am scared of Devon Achane beating us. And I think this is definitely a game that we have to win at home against an inferior opponent that does not play well in the cold. Tua's never won a game under 46 degrees. His touchdown to interception ratio is 1 touchdown to 12 interceptions. But I'm telling you right now, if they let Achan go and he's ripping on us, then I feel like this could be a major problem. And so I'm concerned on whether TJ Watt plays, or not. But I think he's gonna play. I think he's gonna play. I think he's gonna power through it. I think it happened early enough in the week, and I have a feeling that TJ Watt will play in this game. And that's gonna be a called shot. Knock on wood. I don't want to jinx it. I really don't. And I feel like I jinx a lot, but I think he's gonna tough it out, and I think he's gonna play. I just have a feeling that TJ Watt will tough it out.
it's gonna be 22 degrees on Monday.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? I was gonna go to that game. I had
It's
in
on
my
my
mind
birthday. I was gonna go too.
I was gonna go to that game, and let me just let me tell you. So I was looking at deals. I was already looking at deals, and I was gonna make a decision because I seen on Southwest they got deals for January. Right, I was about to go ahead and buy a ticket for
Home
the
playoff
first
game.
game. Yeah,
That's a wild gamble, brother. That's a wild gamble.
I was gonna buy a ticket for it.
You get your money back though, right? You get your
Yes,
money back.
now I'm saying if I like I'm still debating on if I should just buy this flight.
Hey, get the insurance on it. That's all I gotta say. Pay for the insurance. Pay for the extra insurance just in case.
But
But
yeah, I was looking
hey,
at
either way, you got family up there. You can say, hey, I'm coming to visit for the new year to see y'all after the holidays. So
yeah,
you can make that excuse. You can make that excuse. So you always got an option there.
yeah.
But anything else before we wrap up tonight's episode? Recapping the Ravens Steelers game.
Yeah. Ravens suck. It was BTA. I told y'all in the comments on TikTok that it was BTA, and y'all talking about something. Y'all only won by 5. It was BTA all game. Y'all didn't have no lead the whole game. Y'all suck. This is not the year. It's okay. It's all right. Go figure out your coaching, carousel and all that. We don't care over here. Let's keep winning, man. Yeah,
I hope so.
I love talking on victory. And I do notice something because I don't know if like the fans know this, but some of the games we lose, we don't pod. I think it's
Huh?
like 2 or 3 games that we lose, we don't pod.
We were a little busy. We were a little busy those
Yeah,
couple weeks. We podcast after the Bills. We podcasted after the Bears. You
yeah,
know, we podcast after those losses. I mean, we didn't podcast after they beat the Bengals. I mean, they beat the Bengals by 22 points, and we didn't podcast. So I mean, I just feel like that was just Trey was starting a new job, and I'm back in school, so I got finals and stuff like that, but. Needless to say, we had to hop back on track. We had to get back on our ways, and the last couple of weeks have been terrible
yeah.
because we've been down and had some tough losses and some tough pills to swallow. But hopefully, this gets us back on track. And you know what? Whether I want Tomlin to be our coach or not, which I lean on the side that it's time to move on, I'm still not going to waver from me wanting to see this team succeed and wanting them to go out and win week in and week out, and I'll stay on that regardless of how I feel about Mike Tomlin and his coaching tenure in Pittsburgh.
Also, we're on TikTok. We're 96 followers away from 1,000. Let's get to 1,000 followers.
That's
on
awesome.
TikTok. Yeah, we're
that
just
is awesome.
96 away. If we can get there, man, if we can get the TikTok followers to get on YouTube, then we'll be fine.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I 100% agree. But all in all, this has been a great episode. It was a great win against the Baltimore Ravens. It always is, but it's even more sweeter when you go in and you win in the bank. You win on the road. Winning AFC North games on the road is the best feeling, and none are better than beating your arch rival, the Baltimore Ravens. So this week for the Stealing with the Boys podcast, we will be back on Monday, December 15th, which is your boy's birthday. So tune in for your boy's birthday as we take on the Miami Dolphins on Monday Night Football. For Stealing with the Boys podcast, we are out.
We don't care about the losses. Let's go Ravens!
Here we go.
Suck.